The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you.
What's up? You are tuned into Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and from the Dave and Mahoney Morning Show on Hoppe Hour, live is Jason Mahoney. What's up, dude?
Hoppe, always a pleasure to be here, my friend. This is my second time. It's an honor.
I am glad to have you on, man. I have known you for a few years now, and it is great to see you and Dave growing in this business and becoming bigger names by the day.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. As if the people tuning into Hoppe Hour have not heard, we are making our triumphant return to Las Vegas, back to our our roots where we got originally made our name for ourselves here in radio. And I'm here right now. I'm actually broadcasting from my home studio, and could not be happier to be home, man.
How was it for the transition to go to Texas, to be in the fifth biggest market and to be there for about a year and a half and then move back to Vegas? Is there any part of you that feels a bit of disappointment, or are you happy with the experience you got and being back in Vegas?
No, this is all part of the greater plan. It's like they don't know what they got until you lose it, right? So, one of those things that as a broadcaster, you want to be respected by your company. You want your listeners to, respect you and like you and listen to you and all of that. But, honestly, coming back after about a year and a half, it just feels right. Texas, amazing state. There's a lot of pride like I have seen almost nowhere else in your state. You drive around Texas, you see Texas flags almost next to every single American flag in that state. And I've never seen that anywhere else I've lived, and I've lived all over the country. But coming back to Nevada, coming back to Las Vegas and home, it's just, it just feels right, and coming back to an alternative rock station, that is where Dave and I belong.
What do you think of your show when it was on Mix 96.5 on a hot AC format, a more female-based, while your show can be a little bit edgy? Do you think it worked well? What do you think about the whole era of you guys in Texas?
Well, I think Dave can handle, Dave being the driver of the show and me being the color. Dave was more suited for it personally. He can do anything. He can do country. He can do top 40. He can do hot AC. He can do anything. He's very good at all that. His heart lies in alternative. Whereas heart certainly lies in alternative too. Doing hot AC, I would say, was the biggest challenge, I would say, from our team moving there, because I'm not a guy who, much like yourself, isn't afraid to say what's on my mind, what I'm thinking, and I don't want to have to candy coat it for, a soccer mom who's offended by the word "but," or something slightly more offensive. So it was challenging, and I would say it wasn't the show that we did here in Las Vegas, but I was proud of the work that we did in Las Vegas. And the thing that shocked me, because every day, you get listeners who call in, they hey, love the show, so on and so forth, but you never really know. You look at the ratings are going up. We were up 20% year over year from getting there at a station that had struggled years in the past. I mean, I think now they're at 10 morning shows in 12 years. So obviously there's a lot of turnover happening at that radio station, and trying to get those listeners to trust you was a tough job. But we had what are those called? We had a survey done by an outside company, and the favorables that came back were outstanding. Literally, and no hyperbole here, 1% said that our show sucked. Out of 700 or so women between the ages of 25 and 54, 1%. And I was shocked. I would have thought it was more in the 30% range. But, the people of Houston were very nice, very welcoming. And, it's unfortunate that we're leaving them, but it's very fortunate that we're going home to all of our fans in Las Vegas.
I was thinking about your show the other day because I listen to different shows, not every day, but every few days I'll listen to different podcasts. And what you and Dave do so well is you guys can talk about nothing, but make it entertaining and fill the time and not make it seem like you're trying to fill the time, if that makes sense. Like with my show, I can't do it if I don't have news to rant about, if it's a slow news day. But what I like about you and Dave is you can take the most simple news and make it a nice back and forth conversation for 5 minutes.
Well, and the thing I think that lends to that is the fact that Dave and I have been friends for, 12, 13 years at this point. We've been business partners going back to 2009. And so, we're almost at 8 years now for the show as he and I. But like I said, we were friends and coworkers before that. And I think we genuinely just like each other's company. Like we've been off the air now since December 15th. And, we've talked every day. And Dave and I traditionally are not people who talk on the phone. We don't spend a lot of time talking on the phone. We're text people, we're email people. But it's just this almost like since we didn't have the ability to talk on the show or at work or so on and something like that, we've been communicating a lot more over the phone. And I think that just lends to, like, we enjoy each other's company and we have this natural rapport and chemistry that you just can't fake. You can't take two people who don't know each other, throw them to a room, and expect them to have the kind of chemistry that two people who have been friends for, many, 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 many years do. And I think that's been the success or the secret to the success of our show over the years. We grew it in Houston and did well on a format that was something that we hadn't done before, and obviously the success that we had in the past in the alternative space as well. I don't attribute that to us being anything other than good friends and being able to hold a conversation with each other because, we're not the smartest. We're not the funniest. We might be the tallest combined show.
Yeah.
I know Fitz gives us a run for our money up in Seattle, that tall drink of water. But I think combined, Dave and I are the tallest, at least tag team as far as shows go. He's about 6'3", and I'm around 6'4", 6'5". So, we got that going for us at least.
I was thinking about Dave as a host recently when I was listening to your show, and when you meet him in person, he's so captivating and he's so confident that's why I think he does so well on any type of format. Like you said, he could work in hot AC, and he does fantasy sports shows, and he's done announcing, and he does alternative radio. To me, Dave Farah is one of the most underrated hosts in this business.
I agree with you, and thank God he and I are partners, because if he and I, they actually, there were some opportunities for me to split off, that they were trying to lure me off to other places without Dave because they didn't either have the money or whatever the reasons may have been. And I told everybody, and I will continue to tell everybody and anybody who listens, that Dave and I are a package deal. I will not, unless Dave wants to stop doing radio, which I don't think he does because it's a passion of his. We're a package, I don't want to do a radio show without my friend and partner, because at that point we are just doing a job, and I can go do any job in the world. Might as well do something that I'm having fun with. And right now, working with him, it's fun every single day that we're on the air. And, even getting ready to relaunch a show where we had been in a market, combined. Dave started in 2005 in Las Vegas. I started in 2004. We left for a year and a half. But coming back to a city where we have this base built up, it's been amazing just trying to get everything ready for the relaunch.
Dude, I knew you guys had a big fan base, but I didn't know it was this big. Dude, you guys are getting shares by the minute. You're getting over 1,000 likes. You're getting all these comments, man. I think this is going to be bigger and better than ever for your show in Vegas, dude. That town loves you guys.
There's a couple good radio shows here in the city. Chet Buchanan and The Morning Zoo. He's been a staple of Las Vegas radio for ages now. I have nothing but respect for Chet and the work that he does here in the community. And Mercedes in the Morning. She's also another one who works with us over at CBS. Longtime perennial Best of Las Vegas winner until Dave and I came around and dethroned her several years ago and went to continue to win it until they discontinued the award. But there's some good shows here, but I think that the response from the listeners is that, it's like you kind of, like I said, you don't really realize what you've missed until you lost it. And I think that applies to us as well. We didn't realize what we missed about Las Vegas until we had left. I mean, we love the city. I really did not want to have Las Vegas not on our resume of stations that we were on. Originally, we were supposed to continue to broadcast to Las Vegas from Houston. We were going to do 2 hours of show specifically for the Las Vegas market. After our show in Houston ended, we were going to run live. But unfortunately, due to some unforeseen circumstances, we weren't able to get that done, even though everybody had signed off on it. That was our dream, to always keep Las Vegas as part of our show and keep us in there. But, being gone for 16 months has, it's reignited the passion in the listeners, and it's reignited the passion in us for the love of this fantastic city that is Las Vegas.
Do you think there's any potential in the future for you guys to grow as a show if it were to be having your own local TV version of your show? Or is there any chance of syndication for you guys?
I think there is, without a doubt, but I think what comes syndication is we are going to broadcast from one of the finest cities in the country, Las Vegas. It's a world-class city. I don't want to move anywhere else right now. I'm focused on Las Vegas. I think that our show works a lot of places, so I wouldn't be shocked if that comes down the line. But right now, focusing on Las Vegas and making Las Vegas our home base again. My family's here. My girlfriend's here. Dave, his wife, he met his wife here. She has family here, our friend base. So to get us to move out of Las Vegas again, you're going to have to back up a Brinks truck and then back up another Brinks truck and then back up another Brinks truck to get us to go anywhere.
When I moved to Cleveland 2 years ago to work for Rover, I had my mom help me out, and the apartment in Cleveland was pretty cheap. And then I had to break a lease when I got let go by the show to move here to Tampa Bay. And none of this would have been possible without my mom helping fund my relocation and my mom helping me find this apartment here in Tampa Bay. My point is, how is it for an adult like you when you go from being in a market like Vegas to then being in the fifth biggest market, having to find a place and then moving back? Is it difficult, or as you get older, is moving not as hard? What's it like being an adult, Jason?
What's it like being an adult? You're asking the wrong guy, Hoppy. Being 35 years old, the old man that I am, it's still always hard. Starting over in a new city without anybody it's tough. It really, really is. I thought I truly expected it to be a little bit easier than I had. I knew that there was a lot of work ahead of us reestablishing ourselves in a new market. Being, you've got almost 7 million people who live in the greater Houston area. It's a massive city in population and just geographic size. It's monstrous as well. It's literally the size of Rhode Island at this point. So, I mean, when you're talking about relocating to a city like that, it's tough. It took me a long time to find a house, to find a place where I wanted to live. Luckily, I only rented. I was actually looking to buy a house before all the changes ended up taking place down in Houston that mixed down there. But thank goodness that didn't happen. So I was able to break my lease. But the good news is, like anybody in radio who has moved and after they've established themselves in a market for a long time, I kept my house in Las Vegas. So it was easy for me. I got to move back to my house. I'm literally and figuratively coming home. I came home to Las Vegas with the move back here. So I'm back in the house that I had built back in 2012. For Dave, it's a little bit harder. He bought a house out there, and now he's going to have to find a new house, and he's got a newborn baby. So for him, he's dealing with a lot more situations and a few more obstacles moving across the country than I had to, because I had a place to move into instantly. But it never gets easier, I don't think. And it's funny that you talk about how your mom helped you out moving to Cleveland and then helping you out down in Tampa Bay. One of the stories, I don't know if I've ever told it on the radio before, is when I got into radio, I started doing college radio in like 2002. I was 19 years old, and I was going to a broadcasting school as well. And I was working at the local community college radio station, finally found a job in a small town outside of, actually, you know it because you're from Illinois, Champaign, Illinois, where the University of Illinois is.
That is a very small town, but I feel like it's a good small market to begin in,
It is. It's a very good market to cut your teeth at. I ended up doing a hot AC station there. I was overnights there, and I was doing live nights on the oldies station, so every song literally older than me. After about a year doing that, so it was late 2003, I started applying for jobs across the country, and one of the places that I wanted to move was, and just came to mind, not because they had any job openings or there was anything particular about it that like people were telling me about, was Las Vegas. My parents had moved to Las Vegas in late 2002 from St. Louis, and I was like, you know what? It would be nice to live in the city where my mom lives again. So I called up my boss. His name was Chris Ripley at the time. He was the program director at X1075. And I said, hey, Chris, I'm moving to Las Vegas in 2 weeks. I don't care what job you have, if it's street team, if it's washing your car, if it's doing whatever you have at the radio station. I want to work there, because I was having trouble getting callbacks like we all do generally in radio back then when we're first starting our career out. And he said, okay, well, I don't have anything full time for you, but we're looking for some weekend overnights, and we're looking for a Howard Stern board op. How would you like to come here? And I'm like, sure. And, you know, getting paid $8 an hour, moving across the city, or excuse me, moving across the country into a new city where you never lived in, it wouldn't have been possible had my parents not lived here, because for the next, I would say almost 2 years, I lived with my parents working at the radio station, part-time hours, but basically doing full-time work. I was spending 45 to 60 hours a week doing stuff at the radio station and only getting paid for whatever it was, like 25 hours at the time, but didn't care because I was learning and trying to do everything that I possibly could to improve my worth. But it wouldn't have been possible had my parents not been here in Las Vegas. I would have had to have taken on several other jobs and never would have gotten the opportunities that I did at X1075, which eventually led to full-time work in the overnights, then led to nights, which led to my morning show down in San Diego after that, which eventually led me back to here again to do the morning show at X1075. So if you're keeping count, I have been hired by X1075 3 times now.
What was it like when you got to run the board for Howard? Just recently, I become a real big fan of him, and I'm not going to copy any of his bits, and I'm not going to get like a female newsreader, but what I have been looking at, what he does is he's so great at talking. Even when he rants, he does this in this very lackadaisical way that just comes off really good. I'm a huge fan of Howard now.
One of the things that I think a lot of people who are not in our business will say about Howard, or they don't realize about Howard, is how amazing of an interviewer he is. I feel like Howard Stern is the best interviewer of our generation, of the last 25 years, at least, maybe 30 years. Nobody gets other people or famous people to open up like Howard does, and he does it in such a conversational manner. He makes it seem easy, which you and I know, doing this, it's very hard to have conversations with people who you don't know. You know, it's very, very hard to get people to open up, and he just has a magic way about it, and he makes it interesting, he makes it compelling, and truly is one of the finest broadcasters in the history of this medium, without a doubt. I don't, obviously, I can't hear his show anymore because he's on at the same time that we are, but running the board for Stern was my favorite thing to do. We actually had a pretty unique approach at X1075 on how we ran Howard. I would do the weekend overnights, or I would do the Sunday to Monday overnights, and I would be on from midnight until 3 a.m. doing my shift, playing music, doing the jockeying, and then we would run Howard live from 3 until 6 a.m., and then at 6 a.m., we would actually rebroadcast the rest of the show from, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific time to the beginning of the Howard show. So you were listening, if you started at 6, it's like listening at 6 Eastern. So we actually had Howard on from 3 a.m., and it usually went until about 11 something, like 11:15, 11:30 most days on X1075, and he was a monster. He loved Las Vegas. Las Vegas loved him. So being the first morning show to come on locally in Las Vegas on the signal, the same signal that he was on, was a true honor for us. We were embraced by the old Stern fans. We were embraced by the old Corolla fans, the old O&A fans. And, it's been a pretty awesome journey, but, mad props to Howard for everything that he's done. The guy is truly the best in the business, and one of the most entertaining people I've ever had the pleasure of listening to.
I think the same way about Adam. I think his show was sort of, it came on at a weird time. I think if it came on now, it would do real well. But I think with the lack of social media 10 years ago, it wasn't meant to be with free FM. But dude, if you listen to his show now, man, Adam is one of the best people out there as well when it comes to being on a broadcast.
I think, I actually don't think terrestrial radio is for Adam Carolla. I listened to him. I liked him. I met him. Carolla was nothing but a gentleman. I will say that, and a lot of fun to drink with when he came out to Las Vegas. But I think his show's better on unfiltered. I think his show's better online. I feel like he has just done an amazing job in the podcasting world and has shown the way to other celebrities, other former broadcasters, that there's a lot of money to be made doing that if you do it right, which I think he does. And I think his show's better. I think Adam does not need a format, and I don't think Adam needs a filter. I think those two things both hinder him, and I think that's why going to the podcasting world has helped him so much, because he could just literally do whatever he wants, whenever he wants, doesn't have to worry about PPM, doesn't have to worry about the top of the hour, legal ID. He could just get in there, talk, be funny, and do whatever the hell he wants and be massively successful. So I don't think he would. I don't think him coming back to terrestrial radio in 2017 would ever be a good idea, considering all the work that he's done online.
Now, what I want to ask you is, you guys have been very good to me. There's been other shows from the Morning Show Boot Camp that have taken me under their wing and have helped me out with advice. Who are some shows and who are some guys in radio that have helped you out? And Dave?
Oh, there's quite a few over the years. Chris Ripley, my first PD, like I talked about, that guy is absolutely amazing. Love that guy. He's out of radio now. But if we're talking about shows, I would say Woody. I've been able to bounce some ideas off of him over the years. It's been nothing but very, very, very nice to me from the time that he was in San Francisco to the time he was back in St. Louis, and now the fact that he's doing so well in Los Angeles at 987. Has always taken the time to either give me a call, shoot me a text. Been very, very, very cool to me over that, and he's having a lot of success right now, and his syndication's up and going. So I would say Woody has been very, very cool to me over the years, which is very cool for me, considering when I was 17, 18, 19 years old, I was listening to Woody back in St. Louis when he was an afternoon show jock. So that was, very, very cool for me to be able to get advice or be able to, bounce some ideas off of him. I would say as far as other shows go that I like to listen to, I was going to say Steve Miggs, BJ and Miggs up at KISW. Those guys are killing it up there. Love listening to those guys. They always, I listen to their show and I always get challenged to want to do something just as good on my show. Or if you look at Preston and Steve at WMMR out of Philadelphia, those guys, what they do over there, they run that city, and that show is just a juggernaut. So those are two of the shows that I like listening to right now.
One guy I like to listen to is Brother Weeze. He just is very good at having a laid-back talk show. Even at the age of 70, he comes off like he's in his 40s or 50s. He's very youthful for the age of 70. It's very bizarre, but I love it.
You would never know how old he was based upon listening to his show, and that's kind of what Dave and I wanted to want to project, It's like you don't the comment that we always get when we meet listeners who've never found us on social media or they've never been to the website or anything else along those lines. They're like, "Wow, I thought you guys were going to be way fatter." which I think, and they never know. They always think that we're way older too on air just because of our voices. But that's one of the things that we don't really broadcast how old we are. We don't broadcast our politics. We're either a communist or we're either so far right or we're so far left, and they just never know where we stand, which I think is fantastic, because I don't. I'm not a big fan of bringing personal politics unless it's something that you truly, truly, truly believe in to the air. But shows that talk about partisan politics, I will never in a million years understand that. When it comes to things like Dave and I, if you want to consider this a political standpoint, was when Prop 8 passed and they legalized gay marriage, and then federally they legalized gay marriage across the country. That was one of the big things that we took a stand for. We're big into the LGBTQ community here in Las Vegas, and we're all about equal rights for everybody. We want everybody to be treated equally, and then so we can all be treated equally awful after that, But give us all the same starting base and treat us all equally up front, and then let us do what we want after that, It's about personal responsibility, and, that's about as far as we'll take our politics on air.
Now, before I let you go, why should people tune into your show when it returns in February, and what are some big things you guys have in mind about it?
Well, we're going to continue. That's the beautiful thing about coming back to a market. I would say tune in because we're good and we're cheap and we're free. You can listen to us online at x1075lasvegas.com. We're in the iTunes app, and I think we're in the Android store as well. So you can find us all over if you're not listening in Las Vegas. But I would say, you know what? Tune in, give us a chance. No bull crap. No garbage, no fake nonsense like some of these other shows. It's just two guys who have an opinion about something, who are really good friends, who have an interesting take on most things that are going on in the world. Like it's so crazy not to be on the air. This is the longest I've ever not been on the air in like the last 15 years. So it's like we're going to have a lot to say when we come back on February 6th. So make sure to tune in at 6 a.m. Pacific.
You know what's crazy, too, is there's radio guys like Opie and Anthony and then Drex up in Chicago. They had to sit out the rest of their contracts. I can't imagine, even though you're being paid, and they said they hated it, having to sit out a few years. That's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, the way that we had the ability to sit out for quite some time and still get paid, but we want to get back on the air, Like, that's the thing. We want to be back on the air. And one of the good things for us is we're staying within the CBS family. We've been with the CBS family for, like 12 years now, starting back in 2004 for me. And so the fact that even though we're moving from Houston back to Las Vegas, we're staying within the CBS family, which is nice, which is able to, facilitate the quick return of us to the airwaves, because I would die if I was sitting on my ass for 6 or 8 months or a year or 2 years, knowing that I want to be on the air, and yes, I'm still getting paid, but not being able to broadcast. That just doesn't appeal to me.
Well, dude, keep up the good work, man. I'm glad we're friends, and I'm glad we met a few years ago at the Morning Show Boot Camp, and I think this return to Vegas is going to be huge for the show because I think it's going to be a case of the listeners beginning to realize they didn't know what they had until it's gone. So I predict your ratings will be through the roof, and 2017 will be the biggest year for your show.
Well, I appreciate that, Hoppy. I look forward to seeing you again. Hopefully, I don't know where Morning Show Boot Camp's going to be in 2017. I don't know if they've announced that yet, but I hope you're going to be there, man.
I hope it's in the South, because what was easy about it is I live here in Tampa Bay, and the Morning Show Boot Camp, for people that don't know, it's a radio conference, and it was in Atlanta this year, so it's just a 7 to 8 hour drive. But 2 years ago, I couldn't go because it was up in Chicago. So I'm hoping it's in like Miami or anything in the South, something where it's like at least 10 hours away. I'll drive, but I'm hoping it's close, man, because I want to see all you guys again.
If they've done it in Las Vegas in years past, if it's in Las Vegas, you're more than welcome to stay in my guest room or wherever. But I don't know if you remember this from last year's boot camp down in Atlanta. Do you remember me buying you a pizza? You were a little bit inebriated.
Trying to think. Wait, was I with Woody that night?
We were at the bar that was across the street from the hotel that we were all staying at, and I don't know what the hell you were doing, but you were just you were in a bad way, and I'm like, I got to get you some food, Hoppy.
What was so bad about my drunkenness?
Oh, you were. I've seen you drunk quite a few times. This was the worst. You went big, you went big down in Atlanta, Hoppy.
But what was so bad about it? I mean, I got let go from Rover's Morning Glory for using their shirts as wing sauce wipes. So what was that doing at the boot camp?
Oh no! I mean, you weren't acting out or anything along those lines. I'm just saying, I looked into your eyes and I could tell like you weren't all there. Like you weren't moving a whole lot. We had to get some food in you, so luckily.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think I ran into you down in the lobby like 3 hours later. I don't know how you and some of these other guys were doing, but wow.
I remember I was talking to Woody, and Woody's like, do you need some food? I think this was a different night. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, get what you want. So I'm like, I'll have nachos and a burger. And he's like, Jesus, Hoppy, are you going to be able to finish that? And I crushed it.
Yeah, it's like, what are you, 6'7"?
6'9".
6'9", and you probably weigh, what 280 or something along those lines?
Get the hell out of here. 280 was 5 years ago when I was fat. I'm like 245, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't guess your weight. I don't work at I don't work at an amusement park. I don't make my living guessing fat chicks' weights. Get out of here, dude.
But yeah, man, it's so much fun going to the morning show boot camp. My favorite part about it is the fact that you see the hot AC morning shows, and I'm not going to say any names, but the shows that are
clean. And Dave, right? Because we were working for a hot AC last year.
Let me say this. Let me sort of explain what I'm saying. You guys were more of an edgier hot AC morning show, but I love seeing the mom and pop clean cut morning shows just go crazy and get drunk and begin saying the C word and just getting out of control and vulgar. And then I listen to their show that Monday when I'm up, and good morning, here's the weather, here's the report on the Kardashians, and then the previous night it's, my wife hasn't gone down on me in 8 months, and then on air it's the funniest thing seeing these guys, and they're huge in their markets, and they have this character of being clean cut, but it's awesome seeing the different sides of these major market dudes.
Yeah, everybody in radio, whether you're working on an AC or working on a country, they're dirty sons of bitches, man. We know that. Everybody in radio's perverted. Everybody in radio's got a screw loose in some way, shape, or form. And that's what makes this industry so amazing to work with.
You know what's weird, too, is that the shows that are edgier on air are the ones that are more quieter and more polite. I'm not saying the ones that are nice on air aren't nice off air, but you look at guys that are been quote-unquote shock jocks, according to the media, like BJ Shea and Brother Weeze and Woody, and I guess even you guys do an alternative morning show, and you guys are very different off air. You're laid back. You guys get a beer. You guys are nice. It's just weird how the morning shows that are more guy-oriented, they're not the same on air as they are off air. I would say 99.9% of the time.
Well, you think about that, though. I think the reason that happens and exists is because guys like you said, BJ or Brother Weeze or Woody or us, we're able to vent our frustrations on the air, and I think it's encouraged for alternative shows to get out there and talk. If I'm having a bad day, I'm going to take it to the air. I'm going to find a way to make it entertaining, but if something's annoying me or somebody does something stupid and I got to slap somebody, then, you got to talk about it. You have a way to get it out. But if you're working on a hot AC, and even me, when I worked on a hot AC, it was like Mahoney liked. Honestly, it's like you have to dull it down a little bit, and it frustrates you when you want to talk about something that's you can't because you have listeners. But I will say this. Near the end of our run down in Houston, we were doing more things that we were doing back in Las Vegas, getting back to our roots of being an alternative show and just being who we are as people. And the amount of listeners who would engage in that and not complain, it was surprising. We had 70-year-old women, no joke, we had a 70-year-old woman call in and just go off. It's like these people have emotions and feelings, and they feel the same way too. So it's not all. It all doesn't have to be sunshine and puppy dogs unless you're working on a true AC. You'd be surprised at how grimy some of the hot AC listeners actually get, and how much they can take, and how much they want to hear.
It is crazy, man, how radio listeners make it possible. So everyone needs to tune in. What's the exact date of when you guys return?
February 6th, 2017, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific. You can listen to us via the Radio Now app. You can listen to the TuneIn app. Like I said, we're in the iTunes podcast store, the whatever it's called. You can find us on iTunes if you just search Dave and Mahoney. And, man, make sure to tune in. We'd love to have some of you guys check out our show and hope you have a chance to listen to Hoppe. Because it's gonna be a fun week. Got a lot of fun stuff planned.
Well, dude, keep up the good work, and I would love to have you on the show again soon.
Absolutely, Hoppe. You are the best, hardest working man in radio.
I try.
Can't wait to hear what you got coming up next, man. Keep it up.
All right, this has been Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, saying peace out.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.